I don't know the mayor well, but I will say this. I watched about a year ago when he talked about how the illegal migrants are hurting our city and the federal government should pay us and we shouldn't have to take them. And I said, you know what? He'll be indicted within a year. And I was exactly right.
The Democrat Party. Got to keep in mind that the Democratic Party isn't. They're not liberals. They're the left. And the left puts their political enemies in prison all over the world. Now the left is here. We call them the Democratic Party. But they're not. They're not democratic. They're undemocratic. They're anti-democratic. They're the left. They're going to have to build gulags and rail spurs, I think, before long. You know, it's the party that put Japanese Americans in internment camps during World War II. Beating them with, what did they use? Riding crops. Didn't they use riding like... Now they pretend to be indignant. Every time someone raises an eyebrow. Gang of racists. And why else would they target Eric Adams? He's a black man, mayor of our most populous city. Democrats want to... How long do they want to put him in prison, Mike? I think it's 45 years. I think he's looking at 45 years in a penitentiary because he said, hey... What are all these illegal aliens doing here? That doesn't make things better. And the Democrats said, oh, yeah? Meet the Justice Department. See, the Justice Department isn't either. You know, it's like the Democratic Party isn't. Friendly fire isn't. Common sense isn't. Common courtesy isn't. We've got a lot of isn't. All springing from the military phrase, friendly fire isn't. And honestly, the Democratic Party isn't democratic, and obviously common courtesy isn't common. Amazing stuff. Just talking to a great friend a couple of minutes ago. They had somebody new move into their neighborhood a few houses down. And my friend, identifiably conservative, known as a conservative. The new neighbors moved in, and the first thing they did was plant a big Kamala Harris Tim Walz sign in their front yard. Hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Yeah, hostile, radical extremists. You just want to wreck everything, do you? Which reminded me that my friend Jim, who lives in Dallas, Texas, and wonderful, lives in a community and a neighborhood where it was, built largely at the same time, and the houses tend to look similar to the house next door. But a house went up for sale down the street from Jim, down the street. And the people, and you have one of those, what do you call them, where the neighborhood has a thing like a listserv or something like that. And people in neighborhood chat. And people in neighborhoods say, hey, there's a house for sale down the street on the left side of the street. And let's everybody in the neighborhood plant giant Trump signs in the front yard of every house in the neighborhood. Let's put MAGA stuff all up and down the neighborhood, which they can do in this neighborhood. Because then when the real estate agents come through with potential buyers, they'll scare away the psychos. They'll scare away the crazy Democrats who will burn police cars and loot your house and shoot the kids and do all that stuff. Sell drugs and traffic children for sex. Democrats. But that is just a brilliant idea. A house goes up for sale in the neighborhood. For sale sign goes up in the front yard, and the whole neighborhood decides to get together and put Trump and MAGA signs in everybody's front yard, except for the house that's for sale. So when the real estate agent comes through with potential buyers, that the Democrats are going to run like hell because they got to eat the organs of the unborn and things like that. It's like Night of the Living Dead with these people. And when a Trump voter comes into the neighborhood, they'll say, all right, this is the neighborhood for us. And then you get the new neighbor that you want. I think that's genius. Should market that. I don't know how you market that nationwide, but somebody should market that nationwide. A brilliant idea. We'll call it the Jim strategy. I don't use last names without express written consent from the NFL. So we've got a lot going on today. It's Friday, and that means tomorrow's Saturday, and Sunday is the big Trump boat parade on the Potomac River, which my best girl and I are going to be going to and participating in. Getting on the big pontoon boat, our friend Corey, who works here at the radio station in Washington, D.C., and he's got a great, beautiful pontoon boat where he flies giant Trump flags every weekend and like American flag, Trump flags every weekend. It's a riot, and he goes around and he counts the number of people that flip him off. In fact, Corey checked in this morning. He was just leaving his building in, where is he, in Roslyn, Virginia? He was just leaving his building, and a Democrat flipped him off today just for nothing, just like, hi, good morning, how do you do? And then he started shooting at people of color because that's the Democrats. It's what they do. They're a violent bunch, aren't they? Violent, crazy, hate-filled bunch. Awful, awful group of people. Speaking of which, there is a hurricane that is, it was a big hurricane, turned into a big hurricane, Helene. It should be Hillary. I think because it's H, we're up to H. They should have called it Hurricane Hillary because, it couldn't be as awful as she is. Did you see she came out yesterday with her, remember when I called them deplorables? That wasn't a strong enough word. They hate half the country. They're the party that created the first Civil War, as it's now known. It's now called the First American Civil War. That's what everybody's calling it. Well, maybe not everybody, but it's what I've been calling it for quite some time now. The first Civil War. I'm waiting for the Democrats to fire on Fort Sumter again. They are bringing back slavery with all the illegal aliens and who was it? Hillary just last week that said you're illegal. Oh yeah, it was Hillary saying that Trump is going to have troops out in the street, yanking people out of diners and off your front lawn because they think of illegal aliens as slaves who are going to wash dishes at diners and cut your front lawn. You say mow the lawn, they're going to mow the lawn. And that's how Democrats view cheap labor because, they are the party of the Confederate States of America, slavery, the bullwhip. No wonder they thought that Border Patrol was using riding crops on the Haitian illegal aliens flowing into the country. I wonder if barbecue, the Haitian cannibal, has come into I wonder where they moved barbecue. The news media is busy not looking into all of that because the news media is the filthiest, most corrupt institution in America. Hillary Clinton hates America.
To see what Trump is doing, which is implementing his policy with military troops in the street to, grab the woman who waits on you at the diner, pick up the guy who's, mowing the grass in the neighbor's yard. Not because you have any information about them, but because of the way they look.
Yeah, I'd say if that applied, you better look out for the way you look and the troops. Now, I was here in Washington, D.C. when Joe Biden had the military out on the streets for how long? For months. And the whole city was boarded up and lots of businesses just went out of business because the Wuhan Red Death out of Wuhan, China, commies. Did you see the Chinese communists? They built a brand new nuclear submarine, and it was at port, and it sunk. Their own submarine sunk. It sunk to the bottom. What's that? It's supposed to sink. Yeah, it's true. It's supposed to sink. It's designed to sink, but not like you're supposed to close the hatches first. When it fills with water, your nuclear power plant doesn't like that, and see Fukushima, and your electronics, they don't like that inside their $1 billion submarine. It sunk. It's not clear whether it was full of people at the time, but there's one thing for certain. The Chinese communists don't care whether it was full of people at the time or not. But in any case, Hurricane Helene made Category 4 before it made landfall. It's the only time we use that turn of phrase, made landfall. Hillary Clinton made landfall today. That's when she comes ashore on a boat. We use the same terminology for her. But Hurricane Helene, and at least 3 people killed by the hurricane, they're saying 2 million people or more without electricity, no electricity for 2 million people. Atlanta is underwater, which is quite a number of miles inland, as you're probably aware. Virginia has declared a state of emergency because of Hurricane Helene. They should really declare a state of emergency because of vile, vulgar Democrats that flip off their neighbors bright and early in the morning because they don't vote the same way. The party of the Confederate States of America might be breaking away again, but it's gonna look different the next time, I think. Also in the United States, Benjamin Netanyahu, an actual strong leader, an alpha male, who the left resents very much because they suffer from a lot of gender dysphoria, among other things. But Benjamin Netanyahu coming into the United States, I think he's already here, and he's addressing the United Nations General Assembly today. They call it the UNGA. The UNGA, that's the UNGA, because we have to turn everything into an acronym. So the United Nations General Assembly is the UNGA. Unga Balunga, as they say in New York. Pretty amazing stuff. So he is addressing the UNGA today. Ridiculous name. And Hezbollah continues to attack Israel. And the Democrat Party continues to support the radical Islamic Jihadi army, known as the Party of God, Hezbollah, the Party of Allah. Hezbollah. And Hezbollah has fired at least 30 missiles into Israel today. The Houthis in Yemen, all backed by Iran backed by the Democrat Party, the party of war, the party of military-industrial complex, the party that got us into the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and screwed up our intelligence apparatus, getting us into the post-September 11th wars, because were it not for the Democrats and the Bill Clinton Justice Department separating our foreign intelligence, CIA, and our domestic intelligence, FBI, so they couldn't talk to each other, they would have cracked the code, caught the 19 or 20 terrorists, and stopped September 11th. So we never would have had the war in Afghanistan and Iraq if not for the Democrats doing what they thought was best. They just couldn't be more wrong if they set out to be more wrong. So Benjamin Netanyahu, a real man, a former commando, not like Joe Biden, not like Kamala Harris, he's coming in and the Democrats hate him. He's in grave danger while he visits New York because of Iran and the Democrats. But what's the difference? Amazing stuff. Yeah, so northern Israel under attack. And by the way, there are Americans still being held hostage by Hamas. And the Democrats are out chanting in the streets and on campuses in favor of Hamas because they're mental. I'm tapping my right temple with the tip of my right index finger repeatedly. They're mental. See what I'm saying here? Because that's pretty crazy. Also, a Democrat mayor in New York, we started with a bit of this. Democrat mayor in New York, Eric Adams, was charged. Was he arrested and thrown in jail without bail? Is Kamala looking to raise bail money for him or just for rioting, looters, attacking cops and burning police stations? But Eric Adams, and he says that he was charged by Biden and Kamala Harris's Justice Department because they're racist. That's not really what he said. But what he said might as well. What he did say, it may very well be true. That is that he came out and he spoke up against the Biden-Harris administration flooding New York City with illegal aliens who came into the country illegally and against the law. And when he complained about it, boom, and as President Trump said in our opening soundbite, President Trump said yesterday, he said, yeah, I said a year ago when Eric Adams came out and spoke up against the Biden administration's illegal alien policies, I said he'd be indicted. And Trump right again a year out. Pretty amazing stuff. Also an interesting story. Most Americans, there's don't forget to get your new COVID vaccine. It's the updated COVID vaccine for the updated COVID. Is China updating COVID or is the U.S. government updating COVID? They say, it's morphed and now you need a different vaccine and we've got a great new vaccine for you. If you don't mind myocarditis and never being the same again, then go get your most recent, your updated COVID vaccine. Well, this is fun. A majority of Americans are now saying, no, I'm not getting your new vaccine. That's not happening because we don't trust the government anymore in America, and that is a good and healthy thing. But the left does, because the left, they're fascists, they're communists, they're authoritarian, totalitarian, they're statists. They're not the liberty people, the freedom people, the individual rights people. That's not who they are. They're the opposite of that. They are the hobnailed boot of the state. What was the line? Stamping on your face forever. That's what the Democrat Party has become. They're un-American. They're anti-American. Just say it out loud. Say it with me. They're un-American. They're anti-American. They're not democratic. Just a couple of highlights of Democrat Party. Kamala going to the border today, allegedly. We'll see about that. The Biden crime family. And Oh, the CNN, did you see CNN talking to the little kids in school, the 10-year-old kids in school? CNN concluded that the Democrats are politicizing and radicalizing their 10-year-old kids to be filled with hatred, and that the Democrat kids are polarizing the situation in grammar school because the Democrats are raising violent criminals. Is that done? If you're a Democrat in particular, we are at 888-630-9625. Maybe you can explain what happened to you. That is great, just looking at the big board here. Pretty funny. Now, I was just talking about my friend Jim in Dallas, Texas, who had a house go up for sale in his neighborhood. And he got together with his neighbors, and everybody said, well, let's all put giant Trump signs and MAGA signs in our front yards. So when the real estate agents come in with potential buyers, the left-wing idiot potential buyers will not move into the neighborhood because they'll be too scared. They might have to self-immolate. Jim was listening on the radio in Dallas, and he just texted a picture of a Trump sign on a front gate, and he texted, and it's working. We have 2 new couples in our neighborhood, and both have asked for Trump yard signs. There you go, keeping out the riffraff. That sounds like an excellent plan. I think everybody needs to adopt this nationwide. And honestly, if you got a commie neighborhood, you should, like hang babies in your front yard or something like that. Have self-immolating people in your front yard so you know that normal people are not welcome. Isn't that amazing? Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Terry calling from Charleston, South Carolina. Terrence.
Good.
Terry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, come on along now. Yeah. What do you have to tell?
I'm just calling.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You need to encourage the left to take the vaccination. That way it'll help thin out the left problem.
Talk into your phone now. Talk into your phone.
All right, hold on.
What are you on speakerphone in line at the Home Depot? Sounds like the Home Depot.
Yeah.
It's got the distinct echo of Home Depot. So what you're saying, I think, is we need to encourage the left to get their vaccines, to get their new COVID vaccines, because that could lead to positive things.
Thin the population out.
Say again?
That way it'll thin the left out a lot better.
Culling the herd. I think Democrats do better with myocarditis than Republicans do. It's a little-known medical fact. We're going to have to test it out for a couple of years before we have the results of the study, and we're going to have the Department of Justice and the FBI review it. It could take years. Yeah, I love this Dallas, Texas Jim's house story. Just a great, wonderful story. A house goes up, and now it turns out 2 houses in the neighborhood. And everybody said, let's all put Trump signs in our front yard. And then 2 new couples have moved into the neighborhood, and they both went to their neighbors and asked for Trump signs for their front yards, where they know it's safe. They know it's safe now because isn't that great? I think that should happen nationwide. It's part of the balkanization of the country because the Democrat Party is driving it. And again, CNN, of all places, we did this story on my Newsmax show last night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Chris Plant and the Right Squad on Newsmax at 10 p.m. Eastern time. You'll have to adjust for where you are, the time. But we did the story last night. CNN sent camera crews and producers, or maybe even reporters, out to schools in Georgia and in Texas. Was it Georgia? And in New Jersey. I'm sorry, New Jersey and in Texas. New Jersey and Texas. And they talked to 10-year-old kids in school, and they asked them about politics. And even CNN was forced to conclude, against their lack of judgment, that it was the Democrat kids that were politically polarizing the classroom because their fanatical, lunatic, possibly self-immolating parents are training the little rapscallions to be political psychopaths by the time they're 10 years old. But I've got that for you coming up. Because the little kids, they're like, they're 10-year-old kids calling Trump Hitler, right? and this crazy stuff. I've got that for you coming up. And Mark Cuban, who's another left-wing billionaire socialist, and Mark Cuban attacking President Trump. And I call him a socialist because he actually called President Trump a socialist. He called President Trump a socialist, not Kamala Harris. But I guess he's planning on making out like a bandit in the next left-wing administration. If the left-wingers should take over, Mark Cuban figures he's going to make out like a billionaire, and it'll be no problem. And Mark Cuban also says, oh, no, the conservatives own the media. The media leans right. I don't know what planet this boy's on, but he should go buy an island somewhere. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein Island might be available. He could go there and play Duck, Duck, Goose with P. Diddy. How's P. Diddy doing? P. Diddy is he's what do you like to call him, Michael? Diddy or Puffy or what do you Jimmy? What do you call him? He's in the can. What? You betcha. Pretty amazing stuff. So we got that coming up for you. We've got lots of crazy. I want to get to a number of things actually on these guys, these people. Can you believe these people? They're kind of hard to believe, aren't they? Womp, womp, womp. Man, oh man. Let's grab one more phone call before we get to audio on Kamala Harris going to the border today at long last, way too late. Let's go to Stephen calling from Fairfax County, Virginia. Stephen, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. I heard you say in your opening segment that this storm that we're having in the area should be called Hillary, since they got up to the H's.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that that's actually fair to the storm because last I heard, the storm had only killed 3 people.
The storm had only killed 3 people, whereas, as every school child knows, Hillary Clinton, what are you implying, Stephen, that Hillary Clinton is responsible for more than 3 deaths throughout her adult lifetime? We don't know about her teen years.
Far be it from me, but you know what the kids say.
What do the kids say?
Well, they don't call it the Hillary body count for nothing.
Yeah, that's right. It's all over Al Gore's amazing internet. Even Al Gore has, I think maybe Al Gore posted some of this stuff because he's no fan of Hillary. But who is? You make a good point, Stephen, that it shouldn't be. Hurricane Hillary would have killed far more people. You know, how many? Just go to Al Gore's amazing internet and do Hillary Clinton body count. And there are thousands of websites that will tick off. Somebody sent me a video the other day, ticked off this person, that person, the next person, the next person. And it was not a complete list by a long stretch. But, Stephen, thank you for your thoughtful contribution. I think you're correct. And we're going to get to the school kids that the Democrats have corrupted. And even CNN was forced to admit that it was the Democrat parents and their Democrat kids that have politically polarized, balkanized the schools in the United States. In New Jersey, in Texas, the little fascists. We were doing this yesterday at Newsmax, as I said on my TV show, and I think we're at the point where the Democrat Party should start wearing armbands. I think we're this close. I'm holding my right index finger a half an inch over my right thumb. We're this close, and the Democrats should really start wearing armbands, put the armbands on the kids, and really, when do they start issuing SKS rifles to all of them? You know, like the rifle used by the Bernie Sanders volunteer, James Hodgkinson, when he shot Congressman Steve Scalise and tried to commit a mass murder, mass political assassination on that baseball field in Virginia. You know, that was an SKS rifle. And then Creepy Boy that I arrested in the bushes, or after he was in the bushes, at the Trump Golf Course in West Palm Beach, Florida. He had an SKS rifle, too, commie combat rifles, because the left is here. Boy, is the left here. All right, let's get to Kamala going to the border, because after how many 3.5 years, the border czarina, and now they're yelling at you. She's not the border czarina. Did you see? Speaking of which, what the COVID czar in New York, because I had to explain to the liberal on my TV show the other day that, it's not an official title, border czar. It's a kind of an honorary title that is bestowed. We've had drug czars in the federal government for years. They're not really czars. It doesn't say drug czar on their business cards. And the COVID czar in New York, did you see this guy? The COVID czar in New York, he's in hot water because it turns out during COVID, during the lockdowns, when everybody in New York City was ordered to stay home, he was out at giant orgies. He was out at like monkeypox orgies. And that's okay because he's a Democrat. And they have a lot of sexual issues, a lot of major sexual issues. And they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, or I guess they do for Democrats. So the guy who was the New York City COVID czar, he was fired after leaked pandemic sex party video confession. Sex party video confession. Disgraced ex-New York City COVID czar. But wait a minute, he's not really a czar. He's, no. But if you watch these videos, you might think he's a czarina. Uh-oh. What did he just say? Can't believe that. So a disgraced ex-New York City COVID czar, lefty neighbors and his neighborhood, they don't care about his raunchy sex parties, just their timing, you see. The New York Post reporting the story. Some residents in ex-city COVID czar Jay Varma's lefty Brooklyn neighborhood, they took a break from shooting each other to go pork each other. Kind of amazing stuff. Say that they don't care that he hosted raunchy, drug-fueled sex parties, but, they're upset that it happened during the pandemic because the liberal mind does not work as the mind is designed to work. Isn't that amazing? I'm not here to slut shame, because then where would that end? Really, you'd have to go from the top of the Democrat Party to the bottom. But the people at these parties, these sex parties, were literally spreading COVID more. That's, not to mention monkeypox and a variety of other sexually transmitted infections. Isn't that it? STIs now. Because that's, it'll always be VD to me. I think you're VD riddled. I don't care if you call them STDs or STIs, whatever they are. You say SDI, I think of the Strategic Defense Initiative, but that's me. And that's what they're very upset. Park Slope parent Jennifer Valentine told the New York Post, "I'm not here to slut shame. I wonder why." Hey, wait a minute, parent Jennifer Valentine. Why would you not be there to slut shame? I don't know. How many explanations could there be? But the people at these parties were literally spreading COVID more, and that's what she's upset about. Yeah, and there are videos that have been released now where he's bragging about the sex parties. And let's just say the guy's not exactly George Clooney. Right? He's not. His face is kind of like silly putty that's collapsing in the heat. But that doesn't matter because Democrats, they'll beep anything. That's just kind of what they're up to. It's who they are. All right, now let's get to. Can I say squeeze that in there? Wanted to squeeze in there. Let's go to soundbite number one, numero uno, as they say at the Democratic National Committee. Kamala Harris was on MSDNC a couple of nights ago getting a deep massage with lots of oil from P. Diddy's house on MSDNC by a fraud who's not a journalist at all. And Kamala Harris asked about the border.
We do have a broken immigration system, and it needs to be fixed.
It's broken.
And if we take a step back,
it needs to be fixed.
Months ago, some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress came together with others, proposed a border security bill. Donald Trump got word of the bill, realized it was going to fix a problem he wanted to run on, and told them to kill the bill, don't put it up for a vote. And we need a comprehensive plan that includes what we need to do to fortify not only our border, but deal with the fact that we also need to create pathways for people to earn citizenship.
That's called amnesty for millions of people that they just moved into the country. They're flying illegal aliens in over the border by the hundreds of thousands. They're moving Haitians into small communities by the tens of thousands, not their own neighborhoods you might recognize. They're arresting the illegal alien child rapists where they hang out, Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. And they don't really care because, honestly, what do they care? They're They're the party of, orgies. I like to call them orgies because it's more fun for me that way. But isn't that amazing? And they've been talking about this comprehensive plan for decades now. They've been in charge of the White House for, 12 of the last 16 years. 12 of the last 16 years. And during many of those years, they also controlled the House of Representatives and the Senate. And it's not just that you're supposed to control everything and then pass bad legislation, which is their want, but you're supposed to work across the aisle with the people representing the rest of the country and come to solutions, offer proposals that work for the country. But this fake comprehensive plan is just more BS, and it's broken. Now, haven't you guys been in charge for almost 4 years now? You're the vice president of the United States. She might not be aware of that because of her low IQ, but that's pretty amazing. And Stephanie Ruhle doesn't follow the news, doesn't know what's in the news. Oh, and this bill that Donald Trump killed. No, it had a giant amnesty provision in it. It funded judges to process millions of people into the country, not to deport. It didn't move people back. There was no remain in Mexico. There was no cooperation from Mexico to slow the tsunami. And Republicans didn't like it because it was a horrible, corrupt, filthy bill done by an anti-American political party called the Democrat Party, and it was designed to cause more harm. Now, the vice president of the National Border Patrol Council is a man named Art Del Cueto, and Art Del Cueto is having none of this stuff.
I think it's a little bit too late to come down here. They've ignored it. She talks about a bill about 2 months ago. Well, how about we go 3.5 years ago? They inherited something that was secure. They completely destroyed it. They put policies in place that got rid of what was working, and the chaos that's at the border is because of their causing.
Well, that's straight up true. Art Del Cueto, who again is vice president of the National Border Patrol Council, he's a career border protector, and the Democrats hate him.
President Trump was down here. He reached out to the boots on the ground. He reached out to the National Border Patrol Council. He wanted to get a firsthand, look at what was going on. He went down there. He spoke to the council, which myself included. He went down there with victims of illegal aliens that have committed crimes. He stood there in front of the press for over an hour in 100+ degree heat. That's what he did. Yeah. So now you're not going to see that with Kamala Harris.
And Kamala Harris has not been there. She went for a photo op a couple years ago in El Paso, didn't actually go to the border, and the Democrats could care less about the families of people that have been raped and murdered by the illegal aliens that the Democrats, the gang members and the criminals that the Democrats brought into the country. They're not sending their best. Art Del Cueto.
You're going to see the different styles. She's probably going to go down there, take a few pictures by the port of entry, and maybe go down by the line, speak to a few chiefs, and then get out of there. So you're seeing the difference in style, but make no mistake about it. The mess and the chaos that's happening right now, they created it because they did not inherit anything like it.
Yeah, Art tells the truth. The news media doesn't want to hear that because overwhelmingly they're a front group for the Democrat Party. They're not here to tell the truth. They're not here to hold feet to the fire. The news media is, for the most part, here to get Democrats elected to higher office and to go to monkeypox parties in Brooklyn during the COVID epidemic and spread all of the things that they have to spread. None of it is good, by the way. Much of it is curable with antibiotics thanks to the patriarchy and to Big Pharma, who keep them alive for the next orgy. Yeah, so now Kamala's going to the border for a photo op. The news media will pretend that she's done something brave and significant. But that's because they lie to us all the time. They're just a Democrat Party front group, almost all of them. It's sad. It's remarkable. Did you see this Hoda person? I didn't make that. That's her real name. Hoda, she's on the Today Show. She left yesterday, I think. She's 60 years old. She wants to spend more time with her 4-year-old daughter. Glad she decided to do that. That ought to work out well for everyone. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Chris calling from Marshall, Virginia. Christopher, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
From the front line of the heartland, sir, and I can attest firsthand knowledge that does work when you put the Trump signs in the front yard. As a realtor, I can attest to that. We're all very believe me. We are the first conservative bastion you hit when you go westbound in America, Fauquier County. It's where it starts, baby. Anyway, we're all very excited because I'm putting 3-to-1 odds that Gonjala debuts her new Latinx accent down at the border today.
Ganja.
What do you think?
Ganja. That's fun.
Gonjala. Not Kamala, not Kamala or whatever. I honor her. I honor her Jamaican accent, or her Jamaican heritage by referring to her as Gonjala. That plus the fact that she's been stoned for 4 years straight,
which might explain a lot, I suppose.
Mr. Planty, if your adolescent child sat down at the dinner table and started rambling on like she does, how quickly would you hand the kid a urine cup and point at the bathroom?
That's a perfectly valid point. It really is. And if she were in high school, if she were a student, they'd have to bring her into the principal's office or something. That's great. Now, Chris, have you gotten her inability to stop laughing and the rambling and the blank stares? Yeah.
She's stoned, man.
Seems like a super stoner to me. Her Jamaican father became very upset with her, apparently, when she was talking about smoking dope and then, putting
He's
people...
not happy with her at all, yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think he lives in Washington, D.C., and the media can't find him anywhere because, they're House of Ill Repute. Now, let me ask you this. Have you gone out to vote, to engage in early voting, to vote for all the right people? Because, you gotta come out and you gotta vote against Vindman, right? Got to vote against Vindman.
Am I a patriot? Of course I have. I did on the first day available. I actually went down and saw Corey and Vince. We vote in Fauquier County.
I heard about that. So. Got to vote for Derek Anderson and against this Eugene Vindman creep. And you got to vote for Hung Cao for the United States Senate, who is a great, great American. Hung Cao. Vote for Hung Cao.